I never knew in that moment how much I needed to have that
Mm-hmm.
sisterhood to help me because I felt as if I couldn't even breathe.
Yeah.
It was so overwhelming. So I feel that the weekly meetings that we have is part of my self care. Honestly, it's easy to kind of just go in, especially with the situation with the divorce and all the changes. It's easy for me to go into hermit mode, for
Yeah.
me to, just like Tonya was saying, and just focus on work, focus on my kids and the things that I have going on, and put me on the back burner.
Hola, everyone. Let's start healing. I'm Adrienne Murchison, and welcome to episode 84 of the Let's Start Healing podcast. We have more in common than we think, and what we have in common can change the world. I'll tell you what we have in common. We can't always say, I'm not okay. Can you always just tell someone, hey, I'm not okay? If it wasn't such a real statement in these times, then it would be a cliche, but it's too serious and real to be a cliche. Many times we're not okay. And today I'm bringing you a beautiful episode with three friends, three women who have formed such a strong bond because they're able to rely on each other and share when they're not okay. They're able to share the good and bad times. They're able to share the struggles. They're able to be vulnerable with each other because they decided that they were going to hold a space for each other for that, to be able to say, I'm not okay. So they have a weekly phone call where they check in with each other and they talk it out and they hold each other accountable. Well, at this point, they trust each other so much, they say they can be fully open with each other. But at first, they might try to hide and not really reveal what's really going on with them when they're going through a hard time. So, who I have with me today, one is Tonya Anderson, who is my niece who has been on previous episodes. She is joined by Tiffany Cox and Chisa Mentor. Tonya is in Jacksonville, Florida. They are in three different cities. Tonya is in Jacksonville, Florida. Chisa is in Jacksonville, North Carolina. Tiffany is in the Norfolk, Virginia area. They range in age from 39 to 42 years old. Tonya is in the Navy and she's a substance abuse counselor. And she met Chisa in Jacksonville, North Carolina when she was stationed there, and they became close friends. Chisa is also a substance abuse counselor. However, she is a civilian. And Tiffany and Tonya have been friends since they were toddlers. They grew up together. And she is in Norfolk, Virginia, and she works in the commercial real estate industry as an administrative assistant. So these three share a little about their journey with each other and give us a window into how their conversations are and just the bond that they have. This conversation really resonated for me last week when I watched Viola Davis on The Breakfast Club discussing her new memoir. And she perfectly spoke to something that I often think about. She talked about how we have an opportunity to hear a lot of people share about struggles that they've come through, hard times and experiences that they went through, and how they came out the other side. But we don't often hear people talking about what they're going through at the time that they're going through it. The only time that I've actually, in a big way, been able to hear people discuss that is if it's in a support group setting. But Viola Davis said she thinks that people oftentimes don't share what they're experiencing in real time because they don't feel protected. They have a fear of being judged or how it's going to be received. And I just find that to be so true. So true. I think that the answer is being okay with saying I'm not okay. And that is a process. That is easier said than done. But I think that's what we're called to do. I just saw a news alert today about how a record number of people, I believe, left their jobs in March. And as we know, people have been leaving their jobs. over the last 2 years because they're not okay. Industries are suffering because people are not okay. So I think that this episode will definitely speak to how we have more in common than we think. And these ladies will talk about some of the practices they have when they are stressed, when they are going through troubles. And they'll talk about some of their practices when it comes to self-care, what they've learned to do for themselves. Something that I've talked about a lot recently really worked for me today, which is breath meditation. I mean, really deep breathing is really a big deal. And I tend to have shallow breaths. And some of my friends who are really good with taking good deep breaths, I would say to them, now, why is that important? It's important for life, obviously, but also because it connects us with our inner self. It's so huge. And it really helped me today. Before I was able to get to my usual routine of breath meditation, prayers, and regular meditation and other practices that I had to do something. I had something I was obligated to do. And as I was doing the thing, I started feeling stress because in my mind, I started thinking, oh, this is what my day is going to look like. It's going to look like A, B, C, D, E. And I started making stuff up in my mind and I started getting revved up and filled with anxiety. And by the time I finished the thing that I was doing that was taking precedent over my morning routine, obviously I was stressed. But when I finished, I went ahead and I did my breath meditation. I took the time. I did the exercise that I normally do related to that. I did my prayers. I talked to God. I did what I need to do for me. And it really helped me with the reset. That's just one example. Everyone has so many different things. And I thought that these ladies, some things that they brought up was really, really enlightening. So before we meet them, I want to ask you to please subscribe to the podcast, like the episode, share it with your friends. Remember that you can listen to it on traditional platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. So let's meet these ladies. Let's get started and let's start healing. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
The three of you get on a conference phone call every Wednesday evening. Is that right? You talk and release. Tell me about it.
So every Wednesday we do a FaceTime call and it's kind of a checking in to see how everybody is doing. And sometimes it turns into a venting session. Sometimes it's just us, kind of laughing and joking or reviewing books or reading books for a book club. That I guess is sort of a book club that we have.
Mm-hmm. I think it started from Tiffany reaching out and saying that she wanted to have more conversations because having families and having careers and trying to respect what everybody else had going on, I kind of would sit back and not reach out as much. And Tiffany was communicating the need for that friendship, that girl time, that type of bonding. So I was like, okay, well, let's make this a priority in the sense of setting a time for that, just for that. I think every time we talk, it's all of those things Chisa mentioned. It's all of us acting silly. It's talking about books. It's venting. It's getting to some stuff that we trying to avoid. Like every conversation, empowering each other, speaking life into each other. They last for hours, so.
Before we take a deep dive into how you all bond in your conversations and maybe some of the things you might want to share, I would like to ask you each to reply to healing questions that I like to ask guests. So I'll start with you, Chisa. Do you consider yourself a healer or a seeker in this world?
I consider myself a healer. I feel like I'm always trying to not fix, but just, I guess, heal people or make people feel better. That's what makes me feel good, is to make people feel good.
Mm-hmm. You consider yourself a spiritual person? If so, when do you most feel the presence of God?
I do consider myself spiritual and religious, and I don't know if there's any one specific time or place where I feel that way. I'm very prayerful, so I don't want to say all the time, but I feel like I feel the presence of God, especially when I need it most.
What does
Or
that feel like?
sometimes it's like a sadness that I'll feel. I've been trying to be more mindful with thanking God daily for good things and not just asking for stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's a good feeling to feel like I'm in the presence or speaking to him or trying to be open to what it is that he's trying to give me.
Right. And what do you think that God calls you to do for yourself or for others through your work?
I think he does call me to take care of people, to try to show them the good that they have in themselves, or kind of reflect that or share my story so that I can help them with
Mm-hmm.
theirs.
Mm-hmm. And you, Tiffany, do you see yourself as a healer or a seeker?
I feel like I've always looked at myself as a healer, but I feel like right now in this stage of my life, I'm more of a seeker. So I feel like I'm going through a transition where I'm just seeking more and more of God in different ways. And I'm sure that that will be used for me to be a healer better. But right now, I would say I'm more of a seeker.
How were you a healer? In what ways?
Well, I feel that I've always wanted to, like Chisa, have this natural thing where I want to fix people.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make things better. And I'm learning to kind of listen more as opposed to just offering advice and trying to kind of fix people and make them feel instantly better. So I feel like I've done that all my life. So now I'm kind of taking a step back and learning how to be more of a seeker.
Yeah. And when do you most feel the presence of God in your life?
I think I feel God the most when I've been in my lowest periods and I felt like there was no other way that I would be able to get through a difficult situation. And then God appeared,
Mm-hmm.
like in those moments, I felt him strong. But I've also learned now that in the moments when I'm just with my kids and we are just having the best time and I feel just comfortable and I just feel love, I also feel his presence.
Yeah. What do you think God calls you to do for yourself and others through your work and in your life?
Well, I think God calls me to comfort people because I've been learning how to feel comfort through God, through some difficult times. And so I believe that that is what my gift is to provide that to other people and just
Mm-hmm.
help them to pass whatever they're going through and able to see God through it.
And Tonya, do you see yourself as a healer or a seeker today?
Today is the word. Um, I am in a season where I am a seeker at this season. There were times that I was a healer, especially being a substance abuse counselor. But right now, I'm definitely a seeker.
What do you think you're seeking?
I know that there's something that God wants me to do with my life. And I know that until I learn the things I need to learn to be able to execute what He wants me to execute without so much of my stuff, I won't be able to do what He has in mind. And so it's learning everything I need to learn that He wants me to learn so that I can execute what it is He's calling me to do.
And when do you most feel the presence of God?
Honestly, when there's something He wants me to say to somebody He wants me to help. So when those moments come in where I have to be the healer or where He's calling me to be the healer, I know that certain things that I'm supposed to say to them come from Him because of how I physically feel. There's like a different feeling that takes over me
Mm.
that lets me know that what is in my mind to say it's from God and not from me.
Right, right. And so, what do you think God calls you to do for yourself and others in your life and in your work?
I don't know. I'm kind of on a blind journey because, on one hand, I do connect with being a healer, and I've been in positions, as a counselor of being a healer, and I know that it's second nature. And I also know that when I'm in those positions, he's there with me. So I feel his support in that realm. But I've also been put in a lot of positions where I've had to be a leader. And I know that he's still trying to develop me in those ways too. And I don't know how those two paths cross, but I'm learning constantly along the way. So I don't know what his vision is, but I know that he has one for me, and I'm just trying to be obedient and pick up what he's putting down along the way so that whenever I get to where he wants me, I got what I need in my tool bag to do what he
Right,
wants me to
right,
do.
right. Well, so tell me about your phone calls. And is there a call that you're willing to talk about where you all just let it all out and maybe you were laughing, maybe you were crying, but you knew that this is something special that you need to continue for yourselves and make room in your life for?
Oh wow, there's been numerous. I
Yeah.
mean, there have been some very special moments that we've had, even when you kind of go through your week and you kind of hold things in and you may be like, I can carry it. I can carry it all this weight. I'm fine. It's something about being in that safe space with a group of women that you trust and them being so supportive that you're able to release it. And I think that has been the most beautiful thing about our calls, because regardless, whatever it is that we've been carrying, we're able to release it to each other and
Mhm.
get the support and feel like we're not being judged. And, it has just been amazing. Like if I can, I'm going through a divorce right now, which is a difficult period in my life. And I haven't really talked to many people about it, Tonya, Chisa, and my family. And so a lot of the things that I'm going through, I have been keeping to myself and just pushing through. And the ladies have really helped me everything as far as my spiritual growth and the way that I'm connecting with God. It started with my interactions with them, so I'm
Mhm.
grateful. And I wish all women had the same type of, circle or
Yeah.
safe space.
Yeah.
So,
Tiffany,
hmm?
what, like, at the end of your fast, at the end of 222, what new insight or what new experiences had you had or did you gain?
Oh, um, well, what I realized that 222 and the fasting was planting the seed, and that was the month of February. And then March was the rain.
Mm.
It was the rain that was needed in order to nurture that seed, in
Mhm.
order to grow. And the rain was not always pleasant. And this month of April, I feel like it's starting to harvest.
Oh,
So
Oh,
that's
wow. When did you start your fast? What was that
um
about?
right. So another friend of mine, was saying that she was gonna fast for February, right? She was gonna do it for 7 days. And so I had presented that to Tanya, was like, hey, my friend Nadia is gonna fast for 7 days. And Tanya was like, I'll do it for 22. And I was like, oh, well, I challenge it. Let's do it. And she was like, not 22, I'll do it from like the second to the 22nd.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is awesome. And so we just committed to it. And I started fasting. With me, it was like no meat. And then I did no carb days. I stopped using my phone for 2 hours out the day. I gave up like ginger ale and sodas, and during that time, I, devoted my time more to spending time with God. And I started meditating during that period. And I really started to see things change, just a change in me. For one, I
Yeah.
built a new discipline or a new habit.
Mm-hmm.
So now I meditate every single day. I
Mm-hmm.
read scripture every single day. I have my crystals with me everywhere I go. It helped me to build a closer relationship with God
Yeah.
that, I had lost sight of
Right.
over the years.
Wow,
And
that's
so,
amazing. That's
yeah.
beautiful. Wow. And so what's it been like for you, Chisa? Can you think of like a particular conversation that you all had that just was so impactful, whether it was light or whether it was profound?
Just feeling comfortable enough with them to just kind of say some of the things that I'd been holding on to for years. So just
Mhm.
having them there with me and being able to share that with them was really important for me because I'm usually really not usually all the time. I'm really closed off all the time and I feel that I can be vulnerable with them. It's hard for me to be vulnerable and it's easy with them.
Have you found that you've released things that you didn't know you needed to release?
Yes, I have. Like Tonya was saying earlier, we push each other to do things or say uncomfortable things or kind of confront things that we're kind of holding on to. They push me to do the hard things or to talk about the hard things or even to think about the hard things.
And Tanya, how has it been to be able to have this kind of relationship with women? I mean, I know you have had a lot of women in your life as friends, as family, but this particular connection and this bond, how big has that been?
We do genuinely feel each other's power,
Right,
and we genuinely feel each other's greatness.
right.
That comes to the table every Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
That energy is the energy that comes every time we speak to one another. It's just a real talk with some real ones.
Definitely, definitely, definitely.
I'm a girl's girl, so I love connecting with women, period. But the thing that's special about this relationship that we have is number one, the fact that we can challenge each other because I feel like there's a genuineness in the challenge. There's a knowing that, yeah, girl, I'm going to tell you about yourself, but it's to try to help you get through what you need to get through,
Mm-hmm.
or help you be honest with yourself. We all do that for each other. We push each other in a way that's for our betterment. And that's what's special to me because some people may avoid it because they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Some people, that may be their objective, but
Mm-hmm.
it's none of that. It's the perfect mixture of what we need to get past some of our walls that we have up for our own protection, but
Mm-hmm.
get to that place where you can be like, okay, let them down and just be vulnerable and just
Yeah.
be honest. And there's always something on the other side with them. All of us are very different. So
Mm-hmm.
we all have different approaches, so the mixed bag, it's beautiful too. You know, just the fact that we're all there, we'll do whatever we have to do for the betterment of each other. That's what I love and appreciate about this. Even with us doing the podcast, there's a togetherness in it because it's uncomfortable for all of us in different ways. It's uncomfortable for all of us, but we're all there together, like interlocking arms, like, okay, we're going to do this. We're talking about this. We're going to do this. And we're together in this. And despite feeling uncomfortable, we're going to proceed together,
Right, right.
and that's kind of how we get through the conversations. And that's how we've been getting through life as we've known each other. Despite whatever it is, we're going to get through it together. And there's no threat in it. It's just all love.
Without revealing anything you don't want to reveal, is there a conversation that you can take me through a little bit that would sort of describe, just what your conversations are like?
I'm trying to think because our conversations are kind of too deep to share some of them. And that's why we're not being like cagey, but they get there, like we don't.
Well, you've been revealing on past episodes. So maybe it's something that you might be willing to share that maybe you were struggling with or that you brought up that you talked about and they brought it home for you in some way. Or you were able to really pour out what you were feeling in some way.
I know for me, with them, I got to put my money where my mouth is, in the sense of I'm quick to be like, wait a minute, girl, you're not okay. But when I'm not okay, I have to make sure I show up the same way, and it's been times that I haven't been okay. And I've had to not shield that from them, because I wouldn't go for them shielding it from me. And I'm no different than a lot of other people. I want to shut down when I'm going through too.
Yeah.
I
know.
I want to shut down when I'm going through. But when somebody else is going through, I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna let you do that. But I can't do that, especially with them, because I know they know me and I know they know how I am with them. So I can't be like that with them. So when I went through what I went through, where I had gotten to the point where my blood pressure had went up, all my numbers was in triple digits. The top number, the bottom number, my heart rate, all of it was in triple digits. And then on top of that, I started having dreams about killing people. That's just built up anger and, aggression. So, but my body was telling me I was going through something, and I had to go to the front of the church with it, which on Wednesdays at 6:30, 7 o'clock, 7:15, whenever we can get our stuff together, it's them, and I have to be like, listen, this is what's going on with me. And them just urging me to take care of myself, like self-care.
Yeah.
What that looks like. And I'm super resistant. I'm the rebellious, stubborn, violent, as Tiffany would say.
Yeah.
I'm the wild child of the group. I'm Bobby Brown.
You're what? Say that again.
Bobby Brown.
Uh-huh.
I'm Bobby Brown.
You're Bobby Brown. Right. Yes, I think you are.
So having to sit down and listen, and you're right, you're right.
Yeah.
Because really what they're trying to do is save my life.
Exactly.
They're coming together to try to save my life. They see that in me trying to be great, there's a reckless disregard for me. Mm-hmm. And so they're pouring that love into me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it when they get fed up with my BS.
Well, let me ask you this. I hope I'm able to put this into the right words, because I'm older than you all, and so I saw my parents' friends pass away, and my parents have passed away, and so I'm not at the age yet where my parents' friends were when they started passing away, but people my age and slightly older have just been passing away. And it really is either from lifestyle choices or a will to live, take your pick. And I think that it's a struggle, even given the pandemic, because I was just talking to a friend. I mean, I want to speak for myself, but I was also talking to a friend that I could relate to, of recognizing, okay, this is what I need to do differently in my life to be healthier, to be happier, to have peace. It's one thing to recognize that. And how difficult is it, or how do you get to actually implementing that and getting on the path and making time for yourself? Because, everybody has a busy life. I know that each of you, I know firsthand from Tonya, and I know just from the little that you two, Chisa and Tiffany, have shared, that your lives must be very busy. How do you get to that point? Because I struggle with it. So I'm asking this for myself and for listeners. Have you thought about that? Has it been a process?
It's definitely a process for me, or it has been. I was just talking to Tonya about it earlier. In 2017, my dad died in November of 2017, but that summer I had seen some video and this girl was talking about, take 100 days to learn how to do something. And I was like, I don't know what I want to learn how to do. And I said, you know what? I don't take care of myself very well. So I'm going to take 100 days to do something for myself every day. And it started out kind of surfacey, not selfish, but, surfacey things like, oh, I'm going to get a manicure, I'm going to get a pedicure, I'm going to do this. But then it kind of turned into reading books that were self-help, making sure that I'm going to the doctor and taking care of myself and walking and being in sunshine every day and appreciating my family. And
Mm-hmm.
through that 100 days, it was like towards the end of it, I think my last day, like the 100th day, my dad was in a car accident and he ended up in the hospital for a while and he passed away a month or so later.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that 100 days kind of helped me to learn how to take care of myself and
Mm-hmm.
prioritize myself. And because I've done that a couple of times and I'm always saying, you know what, you shouldn't have to do 100 days to learn how to take care of yourself. But
Right.
it's important to do it all the time, but I forget to do it, taking care of myself. So it's definitely a process, but it's more in the forefront of my mind now than before.
Wow. I'm so sorry about your dad. And
Oh.
I remember Tonya mentioning the 100 days, and I didn't realize it was 2017. It seems like yesterday.
I know. That's what it feels like.
And so have you been able to still, if not daily, make room for yourself?
The past 3 months have been kind of difficult, but I have been making room for myself, and the ladies have definitely helped with that. Kind of help each other or send each other books like, here, read this book. This is a really good book. We're going to read this. Because I sent everyone Tabitha Brown's book. She just makes me so happy. She's just so sunny and everything. So I read that first. So I am taking better care of myself.
Right, right. And what about you, Tiffany? Going through a divorce, I've never been married, but I do understand from everyone I know who has gone through a divorce that it's an emotional, stressful journey.
It is. And I never anticipated for it to be as difficult as it has been.
Mm-hmm.
I thank the ladies for their support. Like, I remember having a conversation, I know this is a little bit sideline from like the self-care, but having a conversation with them, and I was saying that it felt like it was a death and that I was in mourning. And then just the support that I got from them and the fact that they agreed, like, yes, what you're feeling is correct. It is like you're losing someone. And just, I never knew in that moment how much I needed to have that sisterhood to help me, because I felt as if I couldn't even breathe.
Yeah.
It was so overwhelming. So I feel that the weekly meetings that we have is part of my self-care. Honestly, it's easy to kind of just go in, especially with the situation with the divorce and all the changes.
Yeah.
And it's easy for me to go into hermit mode.
Yeah.
For me to, just like Tonya was saying, and just focus on work, focus on my kids and the things that I have going on, and put me on the back burner. Not care, suppress all the feelings that I'm going through, and let it eat at me
Yeah.
until I'm sick and gone. And so having the ladies talk and send books, like, a book about boundaries, that has been so beneficial
Yeah. Yeah.
to my life, for myself and my relationships. And even me recognizing that I have to allow myself more time. Just the fact that we could talk about God in a safe place, and it's real. We're going through our own struggles together and we are all relating. It has been my saving grace. It
Yeah.
has been.
And I had an opportunity to learn that we have a mutual interest in Abraham Hicks' teachings. Share with me what you get from her, they, them.
Right. I think I first discovered Abraham Hicks about maybe a year ago, and a video came in my feed, and I listened to it, and it resonated with me, but it hooked me. But I listened to a lot of videos. What's interesting is that it was during this period, right?
Yeah.
Where I started to seek and look into different things that, again, one of Abraham Hicks' videos popped up in my feed, and this time it hooked me.
Yep. Yeah.
So now I have a routine where I listen to her, him, they.
Yeah.
I listen every single morning. It's part of my routine.
Yeah.
So, I meditate, I read my scriptures, I have a plan that I do, and I listen to my Abraham Hicks video.
Yeah.
Because, I'm learning to expand my spirituality.
Right.
It's not all in one basket. Like, I want to have a relationship with God holistically. So it's changing my mind. And what I get from her is about positive thinking, and which is what I need, because a lot of times it's so easy for me to go into a negative space.
Right.
Especially in this period of my life. And so I'm learning how to draw from positivity, to think about things that truly bring me joy and make me happy, to get into the vortex.
Yeah.
And to manifest things that I really want in my life. Absolutely. I'm grateful that I found her.
Are you familiar with Abraham Hicks, Chisa?
No, I'm not.
So there's a woman, Esther Hicks, who is, and correct me if I'm wrong, because it's probably been in the last 6 to 9 months that I've really started diving into Abraham Hicks. So anyway, Esther Hicks is a person who channels spirits. She puts all of them under the name Abraham Hicks. Actually, I have many friends who have loved Abraham Hicks for years. I tried to listen to a recording maybe 5 years ago or 4 years ago, and I just was not feeling it. And I think that the voice at the time had an English accent, and I was just like, what? And I also actually saw her on Oprah and just wasn't feeling it. Just wasn't feeling it at all. But the time must be right, because what Abraham, I want to say it's a woman, and the woman is speaking, but it's as if I started talking right now, but it's not me that's talking. But anyway, she is really speaking about how energy is everything, and momentum is everything, and not being resistant to what we're feeling is everything. Like, if there's something that I really want to happen, or something that's really important to me, then if all of a sudden I have a negative feeling about it, her recommendation is do something else, do something to get your mind off of it, take a nap, do something to snap your mind out of it, so that you can not put that negative energy towards that thing that you want, or that life that you want, or that connection that you want with God. Right now, there's these animated clips, like 10 to 15 minute clips on YouTube. And I find those to be so cool to show the influence in myself. I was at the bank for too long, in a bank line, like way too long, but I was just in a good mood on Monday, and I had this feeling inside me, like, I feel like something's about to happen in my life. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's coming from here, from there, from where, but I feel like something great is about to happen. And then my mind wanted to go to, there's no reason for me to think that. There's nothing pointing to that. That is what I would normally do. I just remembered hearing her say that that's our ego that will talk us out of something, and that the feeling, this is what she says, the feeling always comes before the actual event. That's why it's so important to have the feeling, and the event will come, because it's not about form. It's not about form, it's about energy. And so when I realized what I was saying to myself, I shifted my mindset. I noticed today I was thinking, yesterday I was in a funk. And today I was like, wow, I was in such a great mood Monday. And then yesterday I was in a funk. But at least I realized in that moment on Monday what I was trying to talk myself out of. So I was able to realize I've moved on down the road. I'm making progress, is what I'm trying to say. So tell me what you get from each other. Is there something in particular that the friendship has helped to reveal to you about yourself in a powerful way?
Well, me and Tonya have been friends for so long, but I still love and appreciate her all the same each and every day. What I get from Tonya is honesty, like brutal honesty. And sometimes we may not be prepared to want to receive it from certain people, but every time I get it from her, I listen and I take it in. Sometimes it's not always nice or pretty. It ain't rapid flow, but it's exactly what I need to hear. And I appreciate that from Tanya. And I know that there is unconditional love. Like I know that she is going to be my friend until my last breath. And so that alone is just, I can't ask for anything else,
Yeah.
and I love her for that. What I found in Chisa by meeting Chisa is just this nurturing spirit with her. Chisa has a calmness. So even when I'm going through a storm or I'm going through just this hard period, she knows how to just naturally approach the storm and calm it down. And it's just with her presence and her demeanor. And I'm grateful for that. It's so loving in a way that is just like a mother's hug. And so that's what I get from Chisa. And then the combination of just the two of them, it's just so uplifting and
Yeah.
it's real. I can't even describe it
Yeah.
because sometimes you'll meet people and they'll tell you things to try to just make you feel better, but you don't really feel it or receive it or believe it. But when it comes from them, I'm just so grateful to have them both in my life.
Yeah. Tonya knows my best friend's name is Tonya. And we've been friends since we were 9. And I think from her, I don't think I would have the sense of humor. I have a huge sense of humor. And I don't know if I would have that if we didn't have our connection. Growing up, we just laughing about anything stupid till we cried. I credit her with that. She disagrees, but I credit her with that. And how do you guys feel, Chisa and Tonya? Like, what is it that's been unlocked for you two through this trio that you have?
I know I am like really calm usually and straight laced and super serious all the time. And Tonya, she allows me to be silly. I'm comfortable being that way. I mean, I'm still working on it. I'm not there all the way yet, but she's just like the baby sister that I always wanted. And she is the sweetest thing. And like Tiffany said, Tonya is going to call you on your stuff if I'm feeling some kind of way, or she'll, no, you're wrong. This is what's happening. And I'm like, you know what? I don't need you to be a counselor right now because I do that too. But I do need it. And Tiffany is just church for me. Like, Tiffany is gonna give me a word if I'm feeling some kind of way. It's the only way I can think to describe it is, Tiffany, you give me that feeling, like the memories I have from my grandma when we would come down for the summer and she would play like these old gospel songs and stuff when she's cleaning the house, not saying, but it's just that feeling you give me when you send a scripture or you give a word or something. It's just, and like you said, Tiffany, the combination of you two, it just grounds me. Y'all just, I love y'all for it.
We love you too.
I'm quick to say Tiffany is one of the smartest people I know. At the top, her intellect, I love conversing with her. She inspires me because I know her greatness. She's just such a force. She's a great mother. She's smart as hell. You know, she can do anything she puts her mind to. And I just get excited being around her, seeing what's going to come next, what's going to come next. Because there's something great. We've been friends for so long that the realness that we can give each other, I'm here for. She pours into me in the sense of all that can be when it comes to life, motherhood, business. And then Chisa, you know, honestly, I have wounds from the things that I don't feel like I received in the lessons of being a woman due to my mom having her brain injury when I was 5.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a lot of wounds there. And I feel like when I look at the epitome of like womanness and femininity and how to be as a woman, I look to Chisa.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Girl, really? Thank you.
she's at peace.
Mm-hmm.
She's that peace. She's that stability. She's that kindness. She's, as Tiffany described her, you know, she's exactly how Tiffany described her. She says, has a contentness about herself. And then Tiffany is also that. She also feeds that kind of we gonna take this world apart ambition that's different. She has a drive that's different.
Yeah.
And that's just not all. She's so much more.
Mm-hmm. Tiffany, as both Chisa and Tonya were talking, you just seemed to be feeling it emotionally.
Sorry for crying.
It wouldn't be Wednesday if you didn't cry, Tiffany.
Oh, so there we have it. Well, let me ask you this before we close out. Shortly before we came on this podcast today, I was looking at an interview with Alex Rodriguez, the former Major League Baseball player. And it was a great interview. And he said, as much success as he's had failures that have been in the public eye and some that haven't been in the public eye. And he said that he has a master's degree in getting back up, that as much as he's fallen down, he's got a master's in getting back up. And I thought that was really powerful. And I thought my master's is in endurance. I might have more than one master's, but I know that I've got some endurance. I can hang on and stick with something and see it through or get through, however we want to describe it. So I want to ask each of you, in that sentiment, what would you say, speaking about yourselves, that you have a master's degree in? Tonya, what would you say?
I say, can I add another question to your question?
Mm-hmm.
Only because sometimes we don't see it ourselves, but can we also answer that question for each other?
You've spoken about each other a lot. And so I want you all to speak about yourselves and what you see in yourself.
That's harder.
Yes, it's a harder question. But I know that you all see your own strengths.
I feel like my strength is also kind of a weakness. I think I have a master's in forgiveness. Like, I will forgive people all over the place that I probably shouldn't. And I'm always willing to give somebody a second, third, fourth chance. And I probably shouldn't, but I'm pretty awesome at that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it is a strength, but it can be a weakness depending on the people who are being forgiven.
Yes. Well, it sounds like you have a master's in love too.
Oh, that sounds better. I like that reframing.
I mean,
thank you.
to forgive, you have to have love in you.
Yeah.
I just want the record to show you just told her what she had a master's in, and you said I couldn't.
Well, because I already spoke about myself. I spoke about myself. So, okay. Which of you would like to go next?
That is really a challenging question.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. I will say that I have a master's in, I would say, perseverance.
Mm.
And that is just something that I recently discovered.
Mm-hmm.
But in hindsight of everything that I've been through in my life and just kind of doing a reflection, I'm like, I wouldn't have been able to get to where I am now if I did not persevere. And even every single day, getting up and starting the day, and there is just the way, like, I don't know, girl.
Yeah.
I don't know. And just pushing through that to be like, you know what? I got things to do. I have to work. I have to take care of my kids. I
Mhm.
have to provide and do. You have to have a level of perseverance to do it every single day,
Right.
and to take care of your responsibilities and do that. So I would say that I would have a master's in that.
Right. Right. Wonderful. Tonya.
I don't know if I'm using the right word or not.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a master's in, don't laugh at me, y'all, when y'all hear me say this, optimism.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We can do it.
Yeah.
Whatever it is you want to do, we can do it.
Yeah.
Whatever it is I want to do, I can do it. We can figure this out.
That's wonderful. I have to say, one thing about Tonya is that I have seen her intuitive gifts. I shared this with you before, Tonya, not too long ago. Like, I have intuitive gifts, and her dad had intuitive gifts higher than what I have. And Tanya's is, it's hard for me to articulate. Like, she has, it's like a sweet knowing, a sweet intuition that is just God given, that I would say, because I'm the host and I can't, I can speak to you, that's something you have a master's degree in.
I agree with that. Like, just seeing her, working with her when as a counselor, like Tonya is an amazing counselor, very intuitive. I feel like she's just a natural. I loved working with her. Like, I know she looked to me for things because I'd been in the field for longer, but I feel like I learned so much from her, just the techniques that she used, the things that she said. Like, one of the things that I remember, I don't even know if this has anything to do with anything, but I was at my dad's house and she asked me about bricks because she'd seen something on a Yanla Fix My Life. And so I brought her a bucket of bricks and she'd given the patient bricks to carry around for the things that he was carrying around in his life and how heavy it was and how he didn't need to. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're like thinking of
Mm,
things like that and doing things. And she's, Tonya, you're just an amazing
mm-hmm.
counselor, amazing person. So I really, really look up to you for that.
Oh, thanks.
I, I agree. I agree with Chisa 1,000%. Like, for me, Tonya is so selfless, and sometimes it's in the detriment of her own self, but
Mm-hmm.
she's more concerned about being there to help others. Like, she is really gifted as a helper. And not only that, Tonya has the ability to communicate. So her way with words and her ability to kind of tap into what somebody is going through and directly spot on understand what it is through her words and help them to see differently is a gift, to kind of speak life into people and help them to think about things in a different way.
Yeah.
So the fact that she has been counseling has been amazing, that God led her to that path.
Do you ladies, did you have any word for the year that, some people come up with a word for the year? Did you have anything like that at the beginning of 2022?
I have some words.
What's that?
No, but I actually have a whiteboard that I'm looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote some words down at the beginning of the year
Mm-hmm.
to just like challenge myself. But intentional. Intention was a big word for me. Pivot,
Mm-hmm.
flow.
Flow.
Mm-hmm. Discipline always gonna be a word because it's never a word. So those are a few I have.
Yeah.
Well, for me, starting off 2022, I didn't have a word. And towards February, my word was manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
But today, like my word has changed to victory. That's where I stand. That's where I lean. That's what I profess. Victory. And I feel that this year I'm going to achieve that.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful. What about you, Chisa?
I did not have a word, and I feel like I still don't really have a word for the year, but I feel like I always want to have fun or relax, and I never do. I'm always so tense and
Mm-hmm.
uptight all the time, and I just want to be loose, or I can't think of not loose, like loose,
Yeah.
but
Hey, come through, girl.
hey, but, I can't think of the word I'm thinking of, but I just want to stop being so uptight and just have fun.
Mm-hmm.
free, Chisa, be free.
Yeah.
That's yes, I like
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you so much for doing this. I really, really appreciate you ladies. And I think it's beautiful, the bond and the friendship that you have.
This has been wonderful. Thank you so much for inviting us.
It has. So thank you. It was really good. I enjoyed it.
Thank you for joining us. Remember, you can listen to all of our episodes on traditional podcast platforms. Until next time, let's start healing.